It's a thing that has never happened before in the history of Christianity.
For me, it was instant. I felt it, I believed it, I really needed it.
There's got to be something, an aura from these people that go there and come back. Something is changing them.
Maybe God is acting here. Maybe this is something that has to do with the power of the Holy Spirit in the world.
There's a tranquility here that you can really meet with through the people, through the roads, through the mountains.
It's just not something that you make up. It's too wild.
And I sensed it was a holy place, and I knew that maybe I would get closer to God by coming.
Coming to a tiny village called Medjugorje in western Yugoslavia. Far from everything and close to nothing, it's a most unlikely destination. But many believe it's a holy place, the backdrop for a modern-day miracle. Not a matter for logical debate, but a matter of faith.
First of all, we were, 5 hours, 6 hours late, snow, and the man on the plane at the airport says it never snows here. It's been 10 years since he last saw snow. And the wind just, it goes through you. It doesn't just hit you, it goes through you.
Even in bad weather, Medjugorje is drawing people like a magnet. Italians, Germans, Africans, and many Americans who have never seen a place like this before. So remote, so rocky.
It's not a modern Holiday Inn type place we're going to. Very rustic and agricultural. I've never seen this many rocks in one place in my entire life.
It was all a bit of a culture shock for Gino and Jeannie Marchetti. Their first trip overseas, to a communist country. Not a vacation, but a religious pilgrimage with a purpose.
They took us down the little dirt road 20 yards and off to the left into the smoke-filled kitchen. And these people, what I thought of was World War II. It really did, the people when I saw them up there. Handkerchiefs, and the old woman was sitting by the stove, and the old man, and...
He's got the money. Oh, prost! Sehr gut. Viele dobro.
The Marchettis will live here for the next week. They'll spend most of their time praying. They say they've always been churchgoers, good Catholics. But faith was something they discovered through the reality of a sick child. 10-month-old Mary Margaret.
We debated about whether or not to take Mary Margaret, and I was against it at first, and Jean was probably a little more convinced a lot earlier than I was.
I know that there have been healings in the past. There are healings there now. I want Mary Margaret to be healed. You know, that's my miracle.
What'd you do with the head? You like the head? How'd you break this bumper? It's supposed to last forever.
Maybe we'll wait till next Christmas and Santa will bring you another.
Those are good rays, George. Crayon helps.
The Marchettis may have never given any thought to miracles had it not been for the baby. Shortly after her birth last June, Mary Margaret was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, an incurable, potentially fatal disease.
It's a disease that is hereditary. Jean, my wife, had half a gene, and I had half a gene, and you've got a 1 out of 4 chance that one of your children, both the genes will get together and she'll have cystic fibrosis. And that's what happened with Mary Margaret. And
the 1 out of 4 chance hit the Marchettis' 4th child.
I can run a household. I can bear 3 children. You know, why not be able to bear the 4th one in perfect health? It just felt like someone had knocked the breath out of me.
You don't know why it happened or how it happened, and I guess it was even harder because, well, you look at her, she looks she looks fine, and she looked fine back then. And
This family has accepted Margaret's illness, accepted the fact that there is no cure, but at the same time they've been looking for answers in faith, and they believe they've found one. A friend told Jeannie about claims of religious miracles in a small Yugoslavian village. Visions, healings. It seemed outrageous.
Being of this world and in this world, and being a lawyer, I guess I had to analyze every fact, and it was hard for me to say, yes, sure.
But for me, it was instant.
Do you think your daughter's going to be helped, healed?
I really do. I really, honest to goodness, do.
It is a gutsy act of faith to say, I believe a miracle can happen. And it requires another act of faith to ask God for it.
And the faithful believe that God is not only listening in Medjugorje, but speaking here through the Virgin Mary. In June of 1981, 6 Yugoslavian children reported seeing a vision of the Mother of Christ on this rocky hill near the village. Not a hazy image, but a living, breathing, three-dimensional woman whom they could talk to, even touch.
The first day was the most interesting one because it was on the first day that we saw Our Lady. Everybody was against us, even our parents. During the very first days, yes, I was afraid, and we have the mixture of fear and the great joy. We all had a very special feeling at that time, on that day, a feeling which was never repeated again.
Two teenage girls, Ivanka Ivankovic and Mirjana Dragicevic, were the first to claim the vision. They were out for an afternoon walk when the Madonna appeared. They didn't pay much attention and walked on. The next day they were joined by a 10-year-old boy, Yakov Cholo, a 17-year-old boy, Ivan Dragicevic, and 2 other girls, Vitska Ivankovic and Maria Pavlovic. They say they all received the vision at the very same time. All described the apparition in the same way.
When Our Lady comes to us, she wears a grey dress, white veil, and a crown made of stars. She has blue eyes and black hair, and she stands on a cloud. Our Lady is always stressing peace, prayer, fasting, Holy Mass.
I am inviting you, dear children, to pray for the gifts of the Holy Spirit, which you need so as to witness my presence and all that I am giving you.
News of the apparitions brought mixed reactions. Some thought the children were on drugs or were hallucinating. The atheist government saw a political plot. Others believed that this was divine intervention, and crowds gathered on the hill to be near the heavenly visitor.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Queen of Peace,
Pray for us.
And there are still crowds today. The pilgrims who travel here have become as much a part of the story as the mysterious visions themselves. Millions are coming to Medjugorje for as many reasons.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I needed to increase my own faith. I needed to find God in my life. I felt I was losing it, and I felt here I could find Him.
Mary has never played a major role in my faith, and I did not come here looking for Mary or looking to be converted to Catholicism. My desire was to get to know God better.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Walking up there, and you're still playing the tourist. But once you got to the hill and started up the hill, you start to realize that if it wasn't Moses with the burning bush, it was still something very special.
More than a century ago, the same thing was happening in France. In 1858, Bernadette Soubirous, a young peasant girl, claimed to see the Virgin Mary. The visions appeared 18 times in a grotto in Lourdes. There were claims of cures and miraculous healings. 4 years passed before the church completed an investigation. The apparitions were ruled authentic. Bernadette was sainted, and Lourdes became a world shrine. In 1917, 3 young Portuguese children said the Virgin appeared to them in a place called Fatima. Again, there was a study. It took 13 years for the church to confirm these apparitions. The claimed visions at Medjugorje have been occurring every day since 1981. Video cameras have recorded the children through the years. Always the ritual is the same. They pray, suddenly fall to their knees, and appear to communicate silently with someone no one else can hear or see.
It's a thing that has never happened before in the history of Christianity, that so many people, mature people also, have seen and spoken with the Blessed Virgin Mary so often, on a daily basis, for years.
Father Robert Pharisee was the first non-Yugoslavian priest to look into the situation at Medjugorje. He says the church is really just starting to study these apparitions.
There was a commission early on. The local bishop, who doesn't believe in it at all, who thinks it's all a hoax and a put-up job by the priests in the parish, he appointed a commission, but he said, go very slow. I don't care if you ever turn in a report. We're going to go slow on this. And so they never did much, and they really never made an investigation.
Then last spring, in an unprecedented move, the Vatican took the entire matter out of the opposing bishop's hands and ordered the formation of a new commission. No one knows when the group will make a statement. Experts say a yes or no will not come until the apparitions are over.
If the commission decides positively in favor of the authenticity of the apparitions that are going on, then normally the bishop would make some statement. He would never even come near saying that this absolutely happened, and he would never say this is true. He would never say this is really Jesus or his mother who is appearing. But he would say, well, we'll make some official gesture, like it's all right to celebrate Mass there. It's all right to get married at that place. You can have a chapel there. We'll make this an official shrine. That's the kind of approval that normally happens in the cases of authentic apparitions.
Even without formal church approval, groups have erected crosses everywhere on the hill where Mary is said to have first appeared. The simplest, made of 2 tree limbs, marks the exact location of the first apparition.
There is a special energy here and on this mountain where Our Lady appeared.
Lord, send your healing power through the intercession of the Blessed Mother and heal Mary Margaret.
God grant us the strength that your will be done, not ours. The courage to accept our life as it is.
Ave, Ave, Ave Maria. Ave, Ave Maria.
The journey from Nashville, Tennessee to Yugoslavia was long and expensive. 70 people made the trip with high expectations. The very first day, the Marchettis say they found a new strength, not so much in the peace and quiet as through a chance meeting on a noisy street. Father Svetozar Krajevic has become a spiritual leader for many of the pilgrims.
And Jean has more nerve than I did. went up and asked Father if he would pray for Mary
I
Margaret.
just would really appreciate your prayers. And we'll pray for you.
I don't know what to pray for. To pray for happiness really is not to pray for healing. Just to pray for happiness is always good enough, believe me.
When he said that, it was very disappointing. My mission is to tell God as many times as I can that I would like for Margaret to be healed.
If it doesn't happen, then part of the message of Medjugorje is surrender to God, and it's His will, and if that's His will, then so be it.
What do you think God
Americans accustomed to hot water showers and heat in every room won't find it here. What they will find are families willing to share their friendship, their food, and their faith.
I think it's a night for a little draki out here. Draki? Yeah. Oh, schnapps. Yeah.
It's been said that ideas don't pass from one language to another without change.
No pisle. No pisle.
There were about 3 languages at work here as the Marchettis struggled to communicate with the Yugoslavian family they were living with. A little Croatian mixed with German and a lot of loud English.
No more?
One of the messages of the Blessed Mother is that the people of Medjugorje have to share their homes. They have people sitting at their kitchen table, breakfast table, lunch table every night. And it's not just for a week or two, it's year-round.
The Yugoslavians seem so accepting of the Marchettis, so quick to show affection to the children and offer their hands in friendship.
Not for me. Thank you.
Even smiles couldn't hide the fear that this evening meal would be eel. As it turned out, the eels were saved for another night, and the Marchettis saved from another culinary adventure.
Yeah, that chicken looks real good. Real good.
Father gonna make you an eel sandwich tomorrow. That'll be all right.
For all the things that were new and different, like the food, there was a mixture of the familiar. Lines of souvenir stands where gypsies try to cash in on the big crowds. Capitalism alive on communist ground. On the main roads, tour buses compete with flocks of sheep. Most of the time, the sheep win. A few miles away from Medjugorje, a city, small but modern, where factory workers catch a bus home. Theaters offer the finest in foreign film, and teenagers act like teenagers.
Peace, brother!
Those who are looking for flaws in the mysterious apparitions can't seem to find any in the children. The visionaries who still live in the village dress their age and act their age. They even like rock and roll. But there are those who believe that priests created this story and manipulated the children for political reasons. Father Slavko Barbaric is a priest and doctor of psychology.
If the parish priest had tried to manipulate them,
it
would have lasted until the 17th of August 1981, until he was taken to prison. And all the rules of a normal group, they tell us this. When the organizer begins to suffer and is not present anymore, then the group falls apart.
But the group didn't fall apart. Even when the parish priest was jailed for preaching a sermon the government didn't like, when the children themselves were questioned by police, even when modern science stepped in to scrutinize the phenomenon.
For us, the machines were not necessary to prove to us that Our Lady was present, because we could see her, we could touch her. And we were hoping that these machines would prove that we are seeing Our Lady.
There have been surprisingly few medical studies performed here in the past 6 years. In 1984, 2 years after the apparitions began, a team of French doctors set out to study what they call the ecstasy, the few minutes when the visionaries are consumed in the apparition.
So they had to look for, in the first place, what the ecstasy is in itself, what reactions they have in their body, and whether they have any reactions in their body.
A screen placed in front of the children didn't hinder their vision. Overall eye movement stopped within a fifth of a second as the apparition began and resumed just as quickly when it was over. Electroencephalograms measured brain activity. The results ruled out sleep, epilepsy, or hallucination, and the children showed no reaction to pain.
The scientists can say the people who claim to see Our Lady are unbalanced, or they have something wrong with them medically, they're psychotic. You can disprove apparitions scientifically, or theologically, or in a lot of ways. But if they're really authentic, it's almost impossible to prove that they're authentic. It's very difficult, because the ambiguity always remains to leave room for faith.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God.
It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the Marchettis have joined a crowd outside the priest's residence. Only a few who pray outside will be allowed inside to witness an apparition.
Padre, ci sono I bambini. Coi bambini.
Bags full of rosaries, letters, and pictures are passed up the steps.
She didn't go in yet.
Many people didn't go.
At 4:30, the gates close.
Christus vince, Christus regna, Christus impera.
U ime Otca i Sina i Duha Svetog, amen. Oče naš koji jesi na nebesima, svet se ime Tvoje, dođi kraljestvo Tvoje, budi volja Tvoja, kako na nebu, tako i na zemlji. Kruh na.
Dear children, today I am calling you to pray. Dear children, you are forgetting that you are all important. The elderly are especially important in the family. Urge them to pray. Let the young people be an example to the others. Let them witness to Jesus by their lives. Dear children, I beg you, start changing yourselves through prayer, and you will know what to do. Thank you for your response to my call.
But see the disc in front of it again?
I thought you Mary is here.
Is she appearing? What time is it, Connie?
It's 20 out.
It's 20 out. I wonder how long it's been doing it.
Kako i mi otpuštamo dužnicima našim i ne uvedi nas u napast.
And I looked up, and all of a sudden the disc went in front of the sun, and then the sun started to do all sorts of things.
And I just wanted to drop to my knees because I knew she was there, and that was a turning point for me. I just knew it, and I believed.
Kako bijaše na početku, tako i sada i vazda, i u vijeke vijekova. Amen.
Did all y'all get to go in?
Oh, we were in the hallway.
Y'all got to see? Y'all got to see everything?
After days of waiting and hoping and praying, the Marchettis had witnessed what they believe is a miracle and the greatest blessing possible for little Mary Margaret.
It's like you're about to burst and you just want to come up and hug everybody you love. But your arms aren't big enough.
Before I came, I told Mary I just wanted one miracle. So I don't know what happened, but that gave me a little confidence.
The Marchettis will be leaving soon. They're wondering how they'll explain this trip to others back home.
How can you describe the fact that you spent a week in a place that you would never choose to live in and gain so much?
What began as a search for healing has become much more.
If Margaret's healed, that's a miracle. But the real miracle of Medjugorje is the miracle of love that the people on this trip have for us and for Mary Margaret.
And just share with everybody else what did this pilgrimage have meant to you personally.
I've asked a lot of people why they came. And the real reason that I keep hearing is that everybody came for Jean and Gino, to pray for them and to pray for Mary Margaret.
But what Debbie talked about, how each one of y'all came over here to help Mary Margaret and us. And a lot of you, I didn't know that well, how much love y'all can have for somebody. And the love of God is so much more for us than any other one of us have for us. And I just want to thank all of y'all for coming.
Thank you. I don't know if she's cured physically or medically. I think that we've been cured of the fear of her death and her pain. And I think that no matter what happens, we'll be stronger, we'll be more united as a family. Our hearts are united. That's what it is.
We will. She's staying.
Mary Margaret still has symptoms of cystic fibrosis, and her parents still have faith for her future.
Should we get the baby?
Oh, I don't know.
We ought to get, we forgot the baby, Jane. Let's get
There are people that go there and nothing happens. And they go home and then they find out that their lives have been changed and that they really are renewed. They go there because they're looking for the Lord. And they think somehow in some mysterious way they're going to find him there. And in fact they do.
Copies of this and other tapes are available from Caritas of Birmingham. Caritas, C-A-R-I-T-A-S, the Latin word for charity or love, is a non-profit organization dedicated to spreading factual information about important religious events throughout the world. Caritas currently sends books, tapes, newsletters, and other information throughout the U.S. and to over 60 foreign countries. In addition, Caritas sponsors spiritual retreats to the village of Medjugorje, Yugoslavia, site of the apparition of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Queen of Peace. If you would like information, or tapes, or to receive the free newsletter, please write Caritas of Birmingham, Post Office Box 120, 4647 Highway 280 East, Birmingham, Alabama 35243.